What's happening, people? I hope you're all well. So, Chris Watts is now blaming his mistress for what happened to his family. So, I'm going to read the article. And for those who don't know, Chris Watts was convicted for killing his wife and his unborn child and his two other children. So, he was convicted of killing his wife, he was convicted of killing his unborn child, and he was also convicted of killing his two children. Very, very, very sad. So I'm going to read the article here, and it reads, Chris Watts blames control freak wife on his affair in sickening letters about killing her and kids. So I'm going to put a link for this in the description. I'm going to read the article from The Independent. Chris Watts blamed his control freak wife as the reason he had an affair in sickening letter he wrote about murdering her and their two young daughters. Watts, 39, is serving 5 life sentences plus 48 years for the murder of his pregnant wife Shanann and their two little girls Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3, in 2018 Frederick, Colorado. He reportedly whined to prison mate Dylan Tallman in the letters seen by the New York Post how Shanann was really busy with her job and everything it required, which left him to be the primary caregiver to their daughters. Tallman has written a series of books about his time with Watts in Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. Watts met co-worker Nicole Kessinger in 2017, and the pair began an affair in the months before he executed his family. He wrote to Tallman that Kessinger was just everything my wife wasn't like with me. She was just nice and not a control freak. We could make decisions together. He said, I was not thinking. We worked well together, we had chemistry, and I fell into temptation. She was the forbidden fruit. In a previous letter, the newspaper reported Watts went on to blame Kessinger for the affair, confiding in Tallman she became the death of me and was a Jezebel. Watts killed his wife in 2018 during a fight when he told her he'd been having an affair and wanted a divorce. After strangling Shanann in the family home, who was pregnant with their son, he drove Bella and Celeste 45 minutes away to the oil field where he worked and smothered them to death while their mother's body was in the back of the vehicle. The oil worker initially tried to pin the girls' murders on Shanann before finally confessing to killing his entire family. During sentencing, prosecutors revealed Bella fought back before Watts killed her. The prosecutors also argued that he did not kill Bella in rage, but deliberately and viciously. He pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty, which has since been abolished in Colorado. The murders were the subject of a hit Netflix documentary that aired in 2020. American Murder: The Family Next Door was streaming giant's most viewed title when it was first released. Praising the documentary at the time, Shanann's brother Frankie Ruzick said it shows what her life was like before Chris came along and how happy she was with her beautiful family until he cheated and turned into a different person and became that monster. So Chris Watts blaming his mistress essentially for what happened. And for me, this goes to show a lack of accountability. Chris Watts is his own man, and Chris Watts, he made the decision. You know, it could have been emotionally aggravated. It could have been an emotional one as opposed to a logical one. But nonetheless, it was him who ultimately carried out the act. And Chris Watts, you know, analyzing his psychology and his characteristical traits and his body language, it all amounts to a man who isn't able to assert himself and isn't able to apply himself in a direct manner. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that per se, but people like that can be prone to allowing a situation to take control of them as opposed to them taking control of a situation. I think that's what's happened here. But someone has to be held accountable, and in this instance it's the person that committed the crime. So for me, Chris Watts, that doesn't That doesn't answer to what he's done. That doesn't justify what he's done. Chris Watts did what he did and is very fortunate, you know, given the circumstances of the case and the fact that there was the death penalty in Colorado. He's very fortunate that he didn't even have to face the death penalty. And the death penalty, as I mentioned when reading the article, has actually since been abolished in Colorado. It's going to be interesting to me, or it would be interesting to me, considering Chris Watts actually pleaded guilty, and part of that deal was that he wasn't to face the death penalty. I would have been very interested to know if the death penalty wasn't actually in place when Chris Watts had his case, you know, if it was abolished then as it is now in Colorado. I would love to know if Chris Watts would have pleaded guilty or would have gone not guilty and taken his chances in the courts. But we'll never know. So let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video. If you appreciate my work and want to leave a donation, there's a link for that in the description. With that, enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you on the next one. For exclusive content, subscribe to me on Patreon. For just $3 per month, you'll gain access to exclusive content for a wide range of topics, such as travel, human psychology, sports, and more. There's no contract and you can cancel at any time. So become part of the community on Patreon today. The link is in the description.